Members have had an opportunity to review the document. I'll refer to it right now as a document that each member was provided. I think Ms. Atalig has already clarified the circumstances under which this document was solicited or how it came to be. It appears, is it okay to ask questions regarding this document?
Sure.
Is it? Can I ask you a question?
Anything beyond his statements, the interview taken from SA House,
Right.
and anything beyond the information that was filed for the criminal case, that I cannot answer. But everything else.
I just want to clarify something.
Sure.
I'm not even going to read anything from here. Just something I gather
Okay.
regarding your participation.
Okay.
Because the statement made by Mr. Sablan was relevant to you coming over one day, presenting a document, asking him to review. And I see here that you were not a part of that investigation where the statements were solicited, were interviewed. There are other names here, other people who did conduct the interview. You, just to clarify me, were the one that brought it back to him after he was interviewed, after it was put into a format. You were the one that brought it back to him and asked him to review it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
After the Agent House's case was complete.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. I'm merely stating that it wasn't you that assisted Special Agent House.
No, sir.
And I think the report reflects that. Your role was merely to bring it back to him to review for accuracy.
Not quite, sir. My role in this was after this was pursuant to Senate Resolution 1763. This is the Senate's request for our office to conduct a separate investigation on ARA. That's when I came in.
I see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Members? First of all, let me ask the members, are they satisfied now as to what the mystery document is? Should we go any further?
Mr. Chairman, where did we get the word mystery?
I think from Representative Sablan.
That's right, and it's on public record.
Oh, so it's on public record that this is a mystery document.
That's right, Vice, and because pursuant to Mr. Sablan's, he can't recall what exactly it was, whether he signed off on it or not, and so, like I stated earlier, you know, both Mr. Pai and Mr. Hasselbeck offered to go back to the office and check what exactly the mystery document is, and instead of arguing for an hour and a half on a document that no one really knows what it's all about, you know, we could have avoid wasting 2 hours of keep hammering the question to both Mr. Pai and Mr. Hasselbeck this morning. You know, we should have just taken their word and let's go to the source. And it's good that Representative De La Cruz suggested that we we avoid wasting time and go to the source and here we are, and now that we've got the document, you know, in fact, I'm glad that you Vice insisted on the production of this mystery document, because in the conclusion of the document, if I may continue, Chairman, it says SA, and that's a Special Agent House, then asked Sablan if the contract did in fact violate ethics rules, would he deem the contract null and void? And Mr. Sablan replied that he would deem it null and void. And I'm glad that you insisted on the production of this, because now we know what the position of Mr. Sablan is in regards to the sole source contract. You know, I'm glad that this document surfaced. Thank you.
Vice, and then Rep. Guerrero.
Thank you. My question to Ms. Atalig is this the document that you brought down to Mr. Sablan to review for accuracy?
Yes, ma'am.
This one?
Yes, ma'am. Is that his statement? The one that they passed out? That would be the one.
Is this the one? I'm reviewing a document that says investigative activity report written coming out of the report is coming in from the Office of Inspector General.
That's the one that I brought to him.
And who wrote the report?
SA House.
And how would I know that Sablan did in fact agree to this report?
Ma'am, you'd have to ask SA House that question.
I mean, if they give me a report that is very important, why wasn't he allowed to sign the report?
You'd have to ask SA House.
I have a different interpretation of this. I have a couple other questions, but let me yield for now. I think Mr. Torres wants to ask, Representative Torres.
I'm sorry, I do the recognizing around here. And
yes,
I recognize Representative
I'm
Guerrero.
sorry for recognizing.
I already mentioned he would start after you. Thank you.
Hi, Mrs. Atalig, how are you?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm fine.
Just a quick question here. Okay, so this was a collaborative investigation between OPA and the Inspector General?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does OPA have their own report?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet. Okay, so it's not yet put together, right? In the back end, SA House, he asks or points out to Mr. Sablan that the contract appeared to have violated several ethics violations. SA House then asks Sablan if the contract did, in fact, violate ethic rules, would he deem the contract null and void? And Sablan replied that he would deem it null and void, but he would deem it null and void only if it was found to be null and void. You know, in essence, that's what he's working. So, in conclusion, was anybody ever prosecuted on this from the Inspector General?
No, sir. Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Not on the federal side?
On the federal side, no.
Not on
I
the
don't think
OPA side?
This is part of this is included in our charging document, in our information.
So it's in the process?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rep. Guerrero. Representative Torres.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify what Ms. Atalig said earlier, that besides this activity report, I think she mentioned there's a letter that should go together with this, and she cannot provide us the letter.
That's my understanding. Would you like to reiterate what you stated earlier?
Yes. The cover letter comes out of our office, and that cover letter states at the top, contains information subject to confidentiality statute. So I'm not, by law, I'm bound by these statutes not to release anything in the contents of this letter. However, you could see the attachment because that's open to the public.
Continue.
And you mean that that letter should go with this activity report? This is the attachment to that letter?
No. That's part of SA House's investigative report. That there is merely Mr. Sablan's statement. So I just took that out and attached it to our request letter, which is the one I just mentioned. Yes.
So where is that letter directed to or addressed to? Where is that letter that you cannot show us?
I have it right here.
Is addressed to who?
It's addressed to Mr. Herman Saplan, Director of Procurement and Supply.
And did he receive it
Yes, sir.
with his signature?
I have his secretary's signature and stamp receive from their office.
Chair, I think that's a public record since it's already delivered and accepted by the director. Sablan?
You know, I don't know if we have any authority to decide what is public and what is not. I think Ms. Atalig already stated to the committee that there is a stamp that it is confidential. I think this is not the first time we have asked for material from witnesses and their legal counsels, for example, CUC, for example, other agencies who have said that this matter is pending before court, so they cannot disclose to us because it is pending. And that's why I earlier stated if Ms. Atalig wishes to have the presence of a legal counsel who may help us answer those questions and not leave it to Ms. Atalig to decide. I don't think she's in a position to make that type of decision. And you can clarify me if I'm wrong.
If we can take a short recess, if it's, and I can talk to our legal counsel about that.
Representative Sablan.
Before we entertain that request, let me just ask, I just permitted to ask Ms. Atalig one question. I see that the two documents are both numbered the same, the one that came from right out of the Inspector General's office dated July 14, 2011, and the investigative activity report December 7, 2010. Maybe I should answer this to Special Agent House, but if you can, generally what you have is so-called activity reports. You make investigative activity reports of individual witnesses and make individual activity reports for the interview conducted or evidence gathered from that particular, and then you put them together and you compile them in what is headed as or entitled the report of investigation. Is that what it is?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Vice Speaker.
Yes, thank you. I just want some clarification, but before we do the clarification, can I read that paragraph? The last paragraph of the document that we're looking at. SAA House noted that the first item of the terms and conditions of the contract indicated that if the contract itself did not comply with CNMI procurement rules, the contract was null and void. And I take it that we are referring to the ARA contract in this case. I continue. SAA House then pointed out to Sablan that the contract appeared to have violated several ethics regulations. SA House then asked Sablan if the contract did in fact violate ethics rules, would he deem the contract null and void? Sablan replied that he would deem it null and void. I'm reading this to mean that the question or the sentence that says SAA House then asked Sablan if the contract did in fact violate ethics rule, would he deem the contract null and void? He did not say that the contract did in fact violate ethics rules. He said, what would happen if the contract did violate ethics rules? Would Sablan, the contracting officer, the procurement and supply officer, deem the contract null and void? Sablan said, yes, he would. He would deem it null and void if it violated ethics rules. But that doesn't mean here to mean that the contract did in fact violate ethics rules. Where?
Chair.
He's only saying that it appears. But I'm sorry, I have the floor.
I just was going to ask if you posed a question for our witness to answers.
Well, I'm just reading it out.
Yeah, so
and
noted.
I can turn that into a question. Does that sentence there, or that paragraph there, mean that the contract did violate, or was SA House only trying to ascertain what Sablan would do if the contract did violate procurement rules, ethics rules?
Did you want to clarify something, Rep?
Yes,
Please do. Go ahead.
I wanted to clarify. I know that the Vice Speaker has read the whole sentence, and I know that Rep Guerrero also read the last paragraph to all of us. I don't believe anyone here is disputing what the language is trying to entail. We're not suggesting that the contract violated ethics rules. Nowhere in this sentence suggests that a contract is being violated with regards to the ethics. As we all have read and understand what this language is stating, is that if the contract did violate ethics rules, when Mr. Sablan have considered the contract null and void, and Mr. Sablan answered in the affirmative. Again, I must say, no one here is suggesting otherwise and speculating that this contract was null and void. So I really don't understand what the line of questioning here for Ms. Atalig.
So
no one here that I've heard, and not even Ms. Atalig, has suggested that based on this statement, Mr. Sablan is saying that this contract was null and void.
Mr. Chairman.
No one's suggesting that, and I just wanted to clarify that.
So clarified, Vice Speaker.
If what Representative De La Cruz is saying is what I'm hearing, then I think I'm happy to see that there's nothing here that, I'm glad that we see this document to know that there is no violation. I'm not seeing anything here that says that ethics rules were violated. I just want to make that clear, in case somebody was thinking otherwise.
Did you want to make a statement, Ms. Atalig?
Yes, sir.
Please do so.
Does everybody have a copy of the Inspector General's report?
We all do.
The report of investigation?
Yes, we do.
The first paragraph or the second paragraph under synopsis?
Just a moment, please. Please continue.
No, I just wanted to point out the second paragraph.
Please,
Again, it's not
please
for
do so.
me to decide or to assume. This is SA House's report. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. And just for the record, let me read it out. Our investigation collected evidence suggesting that the contract to IPS violated multiple CNMI ethic rules. And it goes on to list what those what those statutes are. And further, we found that the contract may have violated CNMI procurement and supply regulations. Part 700, Ethics in Public Contracting. Next sentence says, under the terms and conditions, the contract is null and void if the procurement process or execution fails to comply with CNMI procurement and supply regulations. Now, let me also state for the record that this is not the first time this issue was raised nor addressed. I think something that was stated that sticks out in my mind, and I believe it was Mr. Hasselback that clarified it, is that terms like may have violated, or the evidence collected suggests that the contract may have, that the IPS contract violated multiple CNMI ethics rules, are terms that attorneys use, or investigators or legal counsels use. And legal counsel, you're free to correct me if I'm mistaken. And the reason that they use those terms is because only a court can definitively say or establish that those rules were in fact violated. Further?
One last question, final, for Ms. Atalig.
Vice Speaker.
If you can answer, can you please tell me if, based on the information contained in the investigative report that you have handed over to us, investigative activity report dated December 7, 2010, that you would say that the CNMI ethics rules have been violated? Yes or no?
Ma'am, I can't give a definitive answer at this moment.
Okay. Thank you. We'll post those to Mr. Hasselback. Thank you.
Representative Torres.
Chair, I'd like to pose the question to, before I go to Ms. Atalig, to both legal counsels. If a confidential document or envelope is delivered to the Director of Procurement, once the Director opens that envelope, what is it? A public record? Like in a bidding process, that you show your envelope, bidding document is confidential. Once the Director opens it up and later on the table, it becomes accessible to any individual in public.
confidentiality requirements apply to the public auditor's office and employees of the public auditor's office. If Mr. Sablan kept a copy of that letter in his personal files, that would not be confidential. You could get it from Mr. Sablan.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Chair, this morning I asked Mr. Sablan whether the Special Agent House from the IG ever asked him if there is any pressure or instruction to approve the contract. And here he says here from the AG's report, IG activities report says, and this is on the back page on the very top. Sablan denied receiving any phone calls or outside pressure to sign the contract, nor did he feel he had to sign it. This is the question that I asked, and I think the answer was he did not recall, but it proved that Asian House did ask Mr. Sablan. Was he coerced or pressured to approve the contract, ARA contract? Now my request still whether we call back Herman Sablan again and point this out that he has a copy, maybe proof from the OPA that he did receive, and let's see that letter that's supposed to be, go with this document.
Representative Del Cruz.
Thank you, Chairman. We've heard from Mr. Sablan earlier and on a prior day, and we heard clearly from Mr. Sablan that he was never pressured into signing any contract. We also heard from him that at the time he signed off on the contract, the Procurement and Supply Office was without any legal counsel assisting them. Why did he sign the contract? His answer was because he believed, since it was coming from the Attorney General's office, that the Attorney General's office had already reviewed and approved the contract. There was never any question as far as pressuring Mr. Sablan to sign anything. Mr. Sablan had already admitted that at the time there was no legal counsel representing his office of procurement and supply, and he signed off on the contract because he figured that the Attorney General's office had already reviewed and concluded that the contract was good. On the issue of another document, I don't know what other document there is. Mr. Sablan doesn't know. Even this document here, he's not sure whether he has it on file or not. He wasn't sure this morning also whether he signed off on a piece of document that Ms. Atalig brought for him to review. So I don't know, Mr. Chairman. If there's any other document, then what document are we talking about? Let's clarify this before we ask what other documents are we trying to seek. Thank you, Chairman.
Would you like to comment, Ms. Atalig?
Can we take a short recess?
No objection.
And just so I can confer with my legal counsel?
Before you react on your request, can I ask you a general question regarding that document?
Sure.
Representative Torres seems to be wanting to get a hold of. Can I ask you a general question? Is that a transmittal memo or letter, or was the purpose of that document to transmit to Mr. Sablan his statement that you provided us a copy of?
Yes.
Then it's a transmittal letter.
All it asks is just for,
Why are we going so far to find out what a transmittal letter contains? Transmittal letter, this would be the relevant document. This is what it's transmitting. Why are we going to such great lengths to determine the vehicle? It's not the vehicle that matters, it's the passenger. This is the passenger. Why I'm almost beginning to feel that, these are just delay tactics. What relevance does a transmittal letter have on the bearing of the question to be asked? None. I'm not gonna entertain any further requests regarding the transmittal letter. If any members have any further questions regarding the document we have been provided, I think some facts or something has been made clear already that isn't even opposed by either Mr. De La Cruz or the Vice Speaker. Can we move on, members?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Speaker.
To expedite the process, we don't have to get Mr. Sablan back to this chamber. If that letter was in fact given to him, we can get it some other way. So I do share the concern that was raised by Representative Torres, but if you're saying that we need to move on, perhaps we can go ahead and move on with our meeting, and we will make sure that we get a copy of that letter from Mr. Sablan's office directly. I have no further questions for Ms. Juannette. I'll wait for Hasselbach to come back. Thank you.
Recognize Representative Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In consideration of time, Ms. Atalig has asked and requested for a short recess so that she can confer with legal counsel in regards to the request. Can we just support her that and see where we go from there?
Again, Representative Sablan, you're putting the matter that I've just ruled that we will no longer entertain back on the floor to revive it. Is that what you wish to do?
Yeah. What I'm trying to accomplish here, Chairman, is that the Speaker has already made her intention known that she wants to request the document directly from the Procurement and Supply Director. We don't know how long that again is going to take. And again, we've got 2 days to wrap up these testimonies, and if we can just support her and see what her legal advice will be, we can avoid having to wait for whatever request we need. Now, if you are going to rule from the chair that you're not going to entertain any further request for documentation, then I'll respect that.
Thank you. And the basis for that was we have determined that it is a transmittal letter that we're the document in question. And if any member wishes to solicit further documents outside of the authority of this committee, I'm going to have to object that it cannot be admissible in our review. To prevent further delays, we will allow Ms. Atalig to confer with her legal counsel.
Thank you.
Short recess.